All right, so this benefit is probably my go-to as far as if I was given a whole list of, what's important from top to bottom. Disability coverage is very important to me. Whenever I've been working with groups and working with employees directly, aside from making sure that they understand their major medical coverage and all their core benefits, life and disability are the two programs that I am always the most adamant about, just because they have nothing to do with your health, but they have the most to do with your finances, right? Life insurance, we've talked about that. When someone passes away, they have a chunk of money that they leave to beneficiaries to handle whatever expenses, and grievances need to be handled. Disability, there are two parts to that. Okay, there's short-term disability and long-term disability. Okay, short-term disability, much more likely to happen, meaning you could be out of work for a week or two. That can happen to anybody, from a sickness or some sort of injury, car wreck, something like that. Short-term disability is the first one I'll tell you about. Okay, this one's important because it covers that first. If you have short-term disability mixed with long-term disability, then you have a perfect setup. But short-term disability covers you from, it can be as quick as day one, all the way up to day 90 or 6 months, day 180. Some of them have waiting periods. You'll hear an elimination period. That's basically, you'll see on like a short-term disability, the first, you'll see two numbers. You'll see like 0/14 or 14/14 or 7/7. The first number meaning an injury, the second number meaning a sickness. So there are no 0-day elimination period sickness plans, but there are 0-day elimination period injury plans. So if you got hurt today and couldn't go to work for the next 2 days, you could be paid 2 days worth of your short-term disability benefit. But essentially, the reason that these are so important is because most Americans, and unfortunately it's just how most of us live, wouldn't be able to go more than 2 weeks to a month without a paycheck. Okay. Or so they say. So to have coverage that kicks in immediately is very important, to make sure that bills get paid. And aside from, if something did happen medically, there's already some stress with that, with medical bills and all that going on. But what about income? What about, you can defer those hospital payments, but things like groceries, mortgages, car payments, a lot of that stuff, those bills keep coming in, and there's not any government assistance for something like a short-term disability. So short-term disability is very important for a number of reasons. There's so many cases where it makes sense, and really I think it's important for everybody to have some sort of disability coverage, especially short-term disability. Another example, women who are going to go on maternity leave, if it's not a benefit that's offered by the employer, where they have, maybe a Family Medical Leave Act or something where they can use, short-term disability is really good for maternity leave. It's a great solution for that. And it's a voluntary product, so it can be brought in, and the people who are planning on having children can, benefit from having that option available to them. Another thing I've noticed, and I think is very good, especially for contractors, people who are blue collar workers, work a lot with their hands. Workers' comp is a big deal when it comes to contracting. And if you're a contractor and you're watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And not having accidents at work and Keeping a good safety record is important for job bids. It's important for keeping your liability rates as low as possible. So oftentimes contractors will find themselves in a position where, let's say your employee, they're covered by workers' comp on the job, but let's say something happened where they got hurt on a Saturday and they knew that they were not able to work. So Monday comes around, they're put in a position of either I can't work for the next however long because my leg's messed up or my arm is messed up, or they could fake the injury on the job and show up already hurt and then claim workers' comp, which is not good for the company. It's bad for everybody overall. And then they get in, they could go under investigation. Bad things can happen from it. It's just not a good place to be in. And offering short-term disability is an easy solution for that. And really, I think anybody that works in any capacity, especially with their hands, where they're liable, like your activities that you do on a weekend that could get you hurt, could prevent you from working for a couple months. It's really important to protect your income, especially if you have people dependent on you, bills to pay. If you don't have 3 to 6 months of income reserve saved, it's really, really a no-brainer for most folks once they understand the coverage and why it's important. Then we get into long-term disability. Long-term disability is the same as short-term disability. It's just for a longer period of time. Short-term disability policies are most often 3 to 6, maybe 12 months, sometimes 2 years, but that's rare. Most of the time, I've seen 3 to 6 months. Long-term disability has that elimination period of sometimes 90 days, which would be 3 months, which is why you'd want the short term to come in, or maybe they'd have 180 days, which would be 6 months. So again, you'd want that short-term disability to cover for 6 months until the long-term kicks in, and then the long-term lasts much longer. Long-term disability is much cheaper, but it's for the simple fact that it's so rare that it gets used. Short-term disability gets used a lot more, but long-term disability is there, and it is a good benefit to have, and it's really good to match short and long-term so that both ends are covered if something were to happen. Employees, when they understand that these benefits are available, and if they're even being offered those plans, through the employer, even better. But short-term disability, first 3 or 6 months, long-term disability, everything after. So sometimes you'll see an employee does the voluntary 100% contribution to their own short-term disability, and there's an employer group paid long-term disability plan that is cheap and easy to implement for everyone, that has a 6-month elimination period that matches with the employee's short-term disability.